Today on Judge Faith, a Missouri family is divided over a dispute about money exchanged during a time of need.
Her mother come to me one day, and I said, well, how's Jackie doing? And she wanted to kind of hint to you if you would loan her some money.
Every time I went to pay him, he told me no. You don't need to worry about that.
The agreement on the loan was always income tax time return, always.
You know how many cases I've had where people say they're gonna make payments when they get their income taxes? You know how many times this actually happened? Never happens.
And later, a Brooklyn landlord demands payment from the terrible tenant who accuses him of lying to her about the safety of the neighborhood.
The real estate agent did the background, checking her out as far as work.
He misled me about the apartment, about the neighborhood.
Tell me why you say your place was so uninhabitable you withheld rent.
Faith Jenkins. Her distinguished legal career began when she graduated first in her law school class. She quickly became a tough New York City prosecutor and then a preeminent legal analyst on cable news. And now she's the judge in her own courtroom. Her cases are real and her rulings are final. She is Judge Faith. Plaintiff Leonard Moreland says he offered his stepdaughter a loan so she could take care of her family while recovering from a major surgery. But now she's refusing to pay him back. He's suing for a loan. He's accompanied in court today by his wife, Diane Camper. Defendant Jackie Kinsel says she doesn't know because her stepfather offered the money as a gift because she was struggling, and even when she tried to pay him back, he refused the money.
All rise. Court is in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Please be seated. Your Honor, the litigants have been sworn in. This is the case of Moreland versus Kinsel.
Thank you, Juan. Leonard Moreland?
Yes, Your Honor.
You are suing the defendant, Jackie Kinsel, for $6,000 you say she owes you for money you loaned the defendant?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, tell me about that, sir. What's going on here?
I met Jackie, 5 years ago through now my wife.
What's the relation?
I'm her stepfather now.
Okay, I understand.
This is her mother. Mm-hmm. And just got to knowing each other, doing things, kind of hanging out and whatever. And
so you have a good relationship with her?
Oh, extremely good.
Okay.
Extremely good, Your Honor.
How would you describe your relationship with your stepfather?
I would describe it the same way. Mm-hmm. We got really, really close. And then, over the years, and really close. It was a really hard decision. I moved, and it was a hard decision to leave them. But, yeah, we were very close.
Okay. Your claim is you loaned this money to the defendant. I know you have another version of this, and I'll hear your side, but what ends up happening?
She had to have surgery.
Okay, when was that?
I'm going to say around May or June of last year, because the first check I think I wrote was like June.
Are you retired or do you work?
I'm on disability.
You're on disability, so you get a disability check every month?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
yes,
and is that your only source of income?
Yes, Your Honor.
How much do you get a month for disability?
$1,500.
Only $1,500?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and do you have savings?
I do have some savings, yes.
And what about you, ma'am? You want to step up for a second? Do you work or are you retired?
Oh, no, I work.
Do you work?
Yes.
You work now?
Yes.
Okay, what do you do?
I'm a cake decorator for...
You're a cake decorator?
Yes.
Okay. So you get $1,500 a month for a disability, and tell me about what happened here and why you say you loaned the defendant money.
Like I said, she'd come down with an illness. She had to have surgery, and so she was supposed to be off for a month. So her mother was going by after work on her days off and this and that, cooking, cleaning the house, laundry, errands for Jackie and her grandkids.
How many grandchildren? Three. You have 3 children?
I have 4.
4 children. Okay, go ahead.
During that first surgery at home, she was kind of more or less bedridden, and something happened where her stitches or whatever inside popped. And it was a very serious, almost life-threatening deal. And so she was going to have to be out of work for another about 3 months.
Okay.
And so her mother come to me one day, and I said, well, how's Jackie doing? And she said, well, she wanted to kind of hint to you if you would loan her some money. And I said, well, how much? And she told me.
How much did she tell you?
$1,500.
Okay.
So I wrote a check gave it to her mother. Her mother went by, gave it to her.
How many checks do you say you wrote for $1,500?
I've got a check, 4 checks for $1,500.
So that's a total of what, $6,000?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Your Honor.
And tell me what happened.
The first check?
I want to talk to the defendant now. Tell me what happened.
Yes, Your Honor. So I had to have a hysterectomy, basically, is what it was.
Okay.
It was in May. And a single mother, and, I work to support my kids by myself, so, and that's fine too. But anyway, so I had the surgery, and I was supposed to be off only about 4 weeks. So I went back to work after 4 weeks, and 3 days after I was back to work, I started hemorrhaging. And my mom kept saying, if you need help, talk to Clyde. Clyde keeps telling me he said he would help you.
Well, tell me about the conversation you had with him about the money.
I said, well, I'll pay you back for that. I didn't call him. I was sitting next to him.
Okay.
And
you
he
said
brought it up.
what? You said, I could use some help.
I said, I could use some help, yeah, because now I don't know when I'm going to go back.
What was his response to that?
He said, don't even say anything else about it. I'm just going to, here you go. Here it is.
And you said, so why did you say you'd pay him back?
Well, because I felt bad, he was helping me. And he said, if you can, maybe in your tax time, then maybe you can pay me back then. So that's fine.
Okay. And so did you ever pay any of the money back?
Yeah, I have, $950.
So then he gives you 3 more checks.
Right.
For
once about
$1,500.
Every month.
So every month. So he was essentially taking care of you.
Pretty much.
For 4 months. And you made some payments back, $950. So my question is, why do you feel you don't owe the rest of it?
Thing is that every time I went to pay him, he told me, no, you don't need to worry about that. You don't need to worry about that.
You never did.
You
say
probably
that.
need more of this. And I tried to pay him back before Christmas.
So why do you think he's suing you now? If that was his
Honestly,
response.
I think he's suing me because they're upset that I moved.
No.
Is that true?
No,
What happened
Your
about the
Honor.
move? What happened with that?
Just that I
And
moved.
as far as agreements, I would not loan $6,000 to somebody, I don't care if relatives or not, and say, oh, don't worry about it. If you don't have it, I ain't man, I'm on Social Security disability.
What is your relationship with your mother like now?
Since I moved, I've asked them to come down and visit, and they don't really talk to us.
What happened with the move? Did she tell you before she was moving?
Yeah, she mentioned moving, but not just like overnight.
So when she told you she was moving, how many days
the
later?
next day she was gone, Your Honor.
And where did she move? How
No
far away?
address. And then she befriended us.
She defriended you on what?
Befriended us on our Facebook talking thing. No numbers, no nothing. We didn't even know where she was at.
That's not true, Your Honor.
What is going on with your daughter? What is your relationship with her right now?
It's estranged right now. She just denies that we took care of her, and the agreement on the loan was always income tax time return. Always.
Okay. You know how many cases I've had where people say they're going to make payments when they get their income taxes?
Yeah.
Do you know how many times?
I've
You know how many
heard
times
of
it's
them.
actually happened? Never happens.
Coming up, the divide between the feuding family members deepens.
And here we are in court.
Yes.
One side of the family on this side of the courtroom, the other side, your daughter on this side.
I'm hurt more than mad, Your Honor.
And later, a Brooklyn landlord demands payment from the tenant who accused him of lying to her about the safety of the neighborhood.
He misled me about the neighborhood. There was a murder.
You owe 30. What? There was a murder.
Plaintiff Leonard Moreland says he loaned Jackie the money so she could support her family. He's suing for a loan. He's accompanied in court today by his wife, Diane Camper. Defendant Jackie Kinsel says she doesn't owe because when she tried to pay back her stepfather, he refused the money.
I always say, when it comes to family, don't lend it if you don't have it to give it away. Because look at what happens. For 5 years, you had a good relationship with her. For 5 years.
Very good.
Right? And here we are in court.
Yes, Your
One
Honor.
side of the family on this side of the courtroom, the other side, your daughter on this side. You've helped take care of her when she was sick. Your stepfather, who you only knew for 5 years, loaned you $1,500 a month for 4 months.
He did.
What possibly could you have negative to say about these people?
I don't have anything negative to say, but only thing I'm saying is that when they're saying lies, I'm going to make sure that they say the truth.
What do you have to say, sir?
I'm hurt more than mad, Your Honor. Me and her had a few hard times over this, and I told her when we leave today to get on the airport, win or lose, it'll never be brought up again. So that's all I got to say. Thank you, sir.
And what are you going to do after this lawsuit is over? What's your relationship going to be like with your daughter?
Well,
I'm just curious. You said you're not going to discuss the case between the two of you anymore. What about your daughter?
I miss the relationship my daughter and I had. I pray that somehow we can become as close as we once were.
Mm-hmm.
What do you have to say about that? Do you believe your mother when she says that?
No.
You don't believe
I'll tell you why. Because they told you that they didn't know where I was, yet my 9-year-old daughter was in her wedding. I asked to go to their wedding, and they said no.
Okay. Well, are you going to have a relationship with your mother?
I can try my best, but they have to come visit. I went up there and visited them, but they have to do their work too. It's not just me.
And so this boils down to what I said from the very beginning, and that is when it comes to money and family. And I'm going to tell you now, despite this case, if something were to happen to you tomorrow, they would be there.
If something happened to them, I would be there.
I won't.
I've always been there for her.
Damn.
No, you can count me out.
So,
Nice guys always do finish last.
Not today. Not today. You're not going to finish last today. But what I'm saying to you is there are very few people in your life who you can count on. And what you can't afford to do is burn bridges with those people. Because the next time around, if she needs your help, what are you going to do?
You want an answer, Your Honor? It won't be. No, I'm not. I'm just going to ignore it.
Yeah.
I don't care.
I think you do.
I mean, I'm a
I think you
caring
do it.
person, but I'm not going to say I'd say no.
You're angry, you're upset, you're hurt.
I'm hurt.
But if she called you and her
I probably
and
would,
those
to be honest
grandchildren
with you. I'm a
needed
God
you,
forgive me.
you do it. You do it. That's what family does.
I'd probably give her a shirt off my back. That's
Yeah.
the way I was raised.
Yeah. Because that's what family does. That's what you do for each other. Through the good times and the bad, right?
Right. Right.
You good people. You
We
really are.
try.
Thank you.
$5,000 judgment in this case for the plaintiff.
It was an emergency deal. It was family, and if it comes up again, I'll probably do the same, probably stupid thing.
you know, I'm happy for him. And as far as a relationship, you know, you get what you put into stuff. So I don't know. I really don't.
We're always interested in what you have to say about our cases. Write us with your thoughts or comments. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, or my Instagram. I look forward to hearing from you.
Plaintiff Jarzino Mercius says the defendant was a terrible tenant, and she was full of excuses when it came time to pay rent. He's suing for unpaid rent. Defendant Akhil says she doesn't know because Jarzino told her it was a nice neighborhood, but the apartment was uninhabitable, and 2 people were murdered next door while she lived there.
Jarzino Mercius?
Yes.
You are suing the defendant Akhil
Yes, Your Honor.
for $3,400, 3 months of back rent you say she owes you.
Correct.
Okay, so you are a landlord of what kind of property, sir?
It's a 2-family home.
2-family home. This is in Brooklyn, New York?
Correct.
What part of Brooklyn?
Bed-Stuy, lower
Bed-Stuy.
end of East New York.
Okay. How long did you live in the plaintiff's home, ma'am?
For 1 year.
1 year? Mm-hmm. Okay. And was it a 1-year lease that the two of you entered into?
Correct.
Okay, tell me about it. What happened?
The steps I took was through a real estate agent.
Mm-hmm.
The real estate agent did the background, checking her out as far as work.
What was the amount of the rent?
$1,600.
And did she pay a security deposit?
She did, yes.
How much was that?
Total was $1,632.
And so when she moved out, you said she owed you $3,400 in back rent.
Correct.
Is that true, ma'am?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, this is going to be a quick case. So why didn't you pay the rent?
Because I did not owe him because he promised to do certain things that he did not do. One of which was to fix the doorbell.
But you lived there for a year.
Yes, but he fixed the doorbell within 3 months. He promised to fix...
So that's not a reason you didn't pay $3,400 in rent. Because the doorbell doesn't work, you can't withhold rent.
Okay, there's more
knock.
to it. There was no light on the front. He promised to fix that, but he did not do that right away, and he told me that I could use the street light to see. I moved in knowing that there were a few problems, but he said he would take care of it.
Coming up on Judge Faith, the excuses about the apartment escalate.
Tell me why you say your place was so uninhabitable you withheld rent, because so far you're 0 for 2.
Plaintiff Jarzino Merzius says Adio was a terrible tenant. He's suing for unpaid rent. Defendant Adio Akhil says she doesn't know because the apartment was uninhabitable.
When you live somewhere, you have to pay rent, period. Now, tell me why you say your place was so uninhabitable you withheld rent, because so far you're 0 for 2.
Oh, okay. Well, the stove did not work.
Was the stove ever fixed?
The stove was fixed several months later. He had to actually take out the old stove.
And so the amounts that you didn't pay in rent, you're telling me that the months you didn't pay, it wasn't your last 2 months that you were there. This was early on in your tenancy? That's what you're telling me?
Oh, no, I paid all the way through down to the last 2 months.
So if those things were fixed, why are you withholding rent the last 2 months that you lived there?
Because there were other things that were not fixed. One is that I had mice, and I feel that the mice were a result of the fact that he never cut down the trees.
Did she have mice?
Was
there a rodent issue?
There was no rodent issue.
Where's your proof of mice?
The only proof that I could show you would be the holes, and also that I actually contacted 311, which is the agency that comes to see what problems you have.
Let me see that you contacted 311. You can give it to my bailiff one.
Should I go? There's more.
Did she? I can't read this. I can't read this. I can't read this.
Okay.
Why would you give me a document I can't read?
Well, the thing is, okay.
I need to know that you withheld rent because the place was truly uninhabitable and not just because you didn't want to pay. Was there mold? Was there no water? Was there no heat? What? You got to tell me something.
There was no heat in the month of October. New York is a cold place.
I've lived in New York for 12 years.
In October, the landlord is responsible to have heat.
October.
October.
You stayed there until June of the next year. So you mean to tell me you didn't pay rent in May and June of the following year because you didn't have heat in October?
Coming up, Judge Faith rules. And now, Judge Faith rules.
He misled me about the apartment, about the neighborhood. There was a murder.
You owe 30. What? There was a murder?
Yeah. Oh, yes. The police came and knocked on my door to get into the apartment to be able to go through the first floor so that they could go over to the 2 apartments over where 2 people had murdered. A man and a woman had murdered 2 people and put them in the back of the trunk. I let the police come in. He ended up being mad at me, but I let the police in because they were banging on the door. I went down. I wanted to see what it was. They said they wanted to come through go through the first.
Okay, ma'am, you're living in Bed-Stuy. All due respect, I mean, there are some crime issues in Bed-Stuy. It's gotten better, okay? But things happen. You're withholding rent because someone was murdered in your neighborhood?
No, there's more to it than that.
I know, I've heard enough because I've asked you 10 times now. And all 10 reasons you've given me are not sufficient for you to withhold rent. You live in a place, you have to pay rent. If it was so bad, why in the world did he have to go to eviction court to try to get you out? Judgment in this case for the plaintiff, $3,400. You admit you owe the money. You have not given me a valid defense as to why you haven't paid. Judgment for the plaintiff.
Justice has prevailed. The wheels of justice is slow, but justice has prevailed. In the words of Don King, only in America.
Once you move, and it takes thousands for you to move, almost $5,000, you might not have the money to be able to move right away.
If you or someone you know has a dispute, don't take the law into your own hands. Let Judge Faith rule on it for you. To submit your case, go to judgefaith.com and tell us your story. See you in court.